This too, correct? All right. And the first game that we picked, Utah hosting UCLA. Craig, did you want to change your pick?
Man, I'm waffling over here.
I'm going to give you time. I think it's fair, Paul, don't you think?
Yeah.
You can just walk over there.
I'll walk over there and change it.
It's like
it's a fun game. Even though this is not live, we're going to have to take a different picture, but I can do that and send that to Garrett. But
gosh, I am torn. Yeah, I think I got to go with Utah with Cam Rising coming back.
All right,
I have to.
There we go. Watch this.
Yeah.
Is this going to change on the air?
Not really.
Okay, Garrett will go back to the screen. Yeah, I mean, the Cam Rising news is different. They're talking about 1.5 points on the point
I love
spread.
what Dante Moore's doing early on for the Bruins, and Chip Kelly's obviously a mastermind. I think this will be a really fun game, and that's why I'm torn, is because I'm a believer in UCLA, like being able to be kind of chaotic and cause some frustrations. But I mean, it's in Salt Lake. It's Cam Rising coming back. I have to change that pick, knowing that he's coming back.
Well, I think this is fair, Garrett. Do you not think it's fair?
If not, I'll change it back if there's a protest.
Garrett, you want to change your pick?
I do not. I'm sticking with mine because my reasoning is I love that Cam Rising is back, but I know they have a lot of other injuries, especially on the defense, and I think Dante Moore and that offense can expose them a little bit.
All right, you're a hater. That's okay.
No, I think he might be right.
No.
I'm already.
You want to change it again?
No, I don't want to do that. I don't want to keep waffling.
Paul, that is amazing. You could just go over there like Vanna White and flip it around.
We need to get a camera over here so I can maybe next week we'll see if I can just do this in real time.
I think we ought to leave it blank, and as we pick, you pop it.
I do that on my show anyway. So
right.
we'll do that,
all of us except for Garrett picking the Utah Utes. All right, so there we are with that. Now, UCLA upends Utah from UT Parking. Rich Boone, UCLA. Paxton, UCLA.
Yeah.
Scotty and S. Michael, Utah. I think it is.
Split.
Here's a lot of Utah. There's a lot of UCLA.
I know I'm gonna feel so stupid, but I'm not gonna change back and do all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Cam Rising news does change it for me. But prior to that, I was all in on Dante Moore and UCLA, and you know what? I would not be shocked at all if they go ahead and still win this game. But what a huge game that would be to roll into Utah and get a W. So yeah, this is gonna be a fun one, and some separation starting to occur in the Pac-12 this week in that race that should be fantastic because of all the talented teams they have.
Little concerned here, sir. Blah blah blah. Vanna White had a beautiful blue dress on a few days ago.
You'll find one for Paul. That's fine.
You know what? Listen, I don't know if it would be beautiful. It'd be more of a muumuu based on my build, but yeah.
Shay, you more of a cerulean guy or a navy blue type?
What's a muumuu? Oh, I know what it is. Okay. All right. Well, there you go. All right, so we all have our picks. Garrett's going straight up. There's a chance Garrett takes a pop from us.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I am terrified that I mentioned that.
What the hell's Emery leading this thing, by the way?
Oh, Emery's.
But
I think he's like in the desert. He's getting deep into the numbers and the odds.
Is he a degenerate gambler?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I just think he's
pretty good.
Looking into it and making wise decisions.
All right, now here is, you don't pick against a couple of schools most of the time. Alabama's one. Ohio State is probably one. But there's a lot of rumble. We don't know. Who is Alabama? Ohio, at least you kind of know who Ole Miss is. I don't know what's going on with Judkins, the running back. Is he going to play?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it. That's probably a game time decision too.
Right. Well, they have a bunch of guys.
I'm going to take Ole Miss for this reason. I think Alabama's a bit of a mess offensively, not just at quarterback right now, kind of all over the place. I know it's at home. I know it's Nick Saban. I just think that they don't have enough offense to get – they're just not a classic Alabama team right now. And they can probably fix a lot of things faster in 1 week than most people can, but they have not looked good the last 2 weeks. I don't think that starts now. I think Ole Miss gets them. It's probably closer than a lot of Ole Miss fans would like, but I think they roll into Bryant-Denny and get the win.
Paxton, Saban's pissed off. Rich said Ole Miss 31-28. So there we are. Craig, you're also – everyone – I picked Alabama. I just can't imagine – I can't imagine. I understand they're not the same, or at least they have weaknesses. But I think that Saban, with the Milroe decision, is, damn it, this is what we're going to do. But I don't still trust whether their defense is going to create things like we're used to seeing, including sacks, et cetera. But I'm still taking Bama.
Yeah, I mean, I totally get that. And, look, I had a really hard time deciding on all these games. I clearly went a different direction nearly across the board than everybody. It's probably why I'm in last bite. Although I made up some ground last week, had a much better week 3. But I I think I've been influenced by the media coverage this week, and just the constant battering of Bama's down and this and that. And I think mostly, though, I've been influenced by the confidence emanating from Lane Kiffin and company. Like, I know there's mind games, and I know even if you're down, maybe you're pretending that you're not. Like, there's definitely a mind game thing going on here, but I think Ole Miss is confident for a reason. The Judkins thing does worry me. I just looked, and I haven't seen any update, but that was like 4 days ago when they announced that he was doubtful, so I'm sure they're keeping that pretty close to the vest, or I've just missed it. I'm not a believer in the downfall of Alabama, but I do think Ole Miss has the better options at quarterback, and I do think that Kiffin's confident for a reason. I'm not fully confident in this because I know what you're talking about with the Alabama and just like being. I mean, I totally get that, but it does seem like there's some things in the air that makes the Ole Miss talk legitimate, and so I'm buying into it for at least this week. But man, not often I'll ever pick against Alabama.
Alabama was still really good last year with the 2 close losses. LSU and then what was it? Is it Tennessee? They beat Ole Miss last year 30-24, so it was competitive.
Yeah, I expect a competitive game either way.
And Ole Miss has got some dudes now. I'm going to take out here. There's a time now, probably now after this, if they were to fall to Ole Miss, that may be a couple other games. I say, okay, no, I just am one of those, but they don't look the same. Okay, so Craig and Paul and Garrett have Ole Miss. Emory. It's pretty good. I'm on Emory's side here with Alabama.
This is a season. I said this the other day. I may have been a little hyperbolic when I said it. But if you look at who they're playing, at least at quarterback, you cannot make a definitive argument that they're going to have the better quarterback in the next 7 games.
No, you're right.
You can make an argument on some of them, but you can't make like when they play LSU, they will not have the better quarterback.
Right.
When they play. I think they play Tennessee this year. I mean, that's one where you're up for debate. But like those games are up for debate. But there are some where you can be like, well,
is their quarterback better than KJ Jefferson? Almost like they're mirror images of each other.
Would you rather? If you ask Nick Saban right now, if you filled him full of true serum and put him on the lie detector, and you said, would you rather have Connor Wigman right now or Jalen Milroe? I bet you would take Connor Wigman.
Maybe more of the workmanlike, mechanical.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. So there we go with that.
Down the field, throwing the ball, not just like 65 yards or nothing, basically. Yeah.
So then this one here, which I hope is the highest rated game, it won't be, but I hope it is. And God bless both Washington State and Oregon State for living up to, like, they're angry. And then they don't like each other anyway. So across the board, well, what a great logo. The Beaver. Where is Clint Moses on the chat room here? We're all picking Oregon State. However, Craig is as a man crush on Cam Ward, the quarterback at Washington State, and so does most everybody else with Washington State.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going for something a little bit different here. I mean, the Oregon State picks, I mean, make all the sense in the world, especially when you look at their lines. They'll have an advantage there. They're at home. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to pick Washington State, honestly, but also that's probably why I'm in last place. But I am a believer in Cam Ward. I think that this will be an exciting game, and I think, even if you look at the desert, the folks have this as a field goal game,
Yep.
I think maybe is what it is at this point. So a lot of people expecting this to be close. And yeah, I mean, Oregon State's a smart choice, I think, but I just, at some point, the favorites don't win every game. You know what I mean? And so, like, this is a game where I think it's going to be close enough, and it's one of those where, if you're going to get in a shootout and you're at home and Cam Ward's feeling it, I think that there's a great opportunity for an upset bid. So, yeah, that's why I went with Washington State, just Cam Ward and playing in Pullman.
Oregon State hasn't lost, and DJ Ukulele is playing well, right? I mean, he's playing well, too, which is pretty cool because of where he came from and what they've done at quarterback. So there's that. Now, there's another school you never pick against, and I mentioned this. Ohio State is one of them, and I would rarely do this, but with Hartman at quarterback at Notre Dame, their explosiveness is much more obvious, and they can get into a shootout if it becomes a shootout. All of us take Notre Dame. Craig is going with the Buckeyes, and again, you can't argue with that. It's kind of like me and Emory taking Alabama.
Well, this is a weird thing because Notre Dame has the better and more established quarterback. Ohio State has them at the skill positions, no doubt. Yeah. But Notre Dame is relying on some true freshmen to do that. I just think at home, Sam Hartman, super efficient quarterback. This game's going to be close. That's really been the difference when Notre Dame has played these games and close games lately is they really haven't had the better quarterback than most of the teams that they play in any of them. So here you've got a situation where Notre Dame has the more established quarterback. Sam Hartman has been there and done that and won a lot of close big games. I think they get this done. My big matchup in this one is the Notre Dame offense against that front seven of Ohio State. How much better is Ohio State's defense? It's been their Achilles heel for the last couple of years since Ryan Day took over, really. And can you run right at them again? If you can, Audric Estime is going to have a big game, and Notre Dame's going to win.
All right, Mr. Guy Allen, all say Notre Dame. Cougar tracks the Ohio State wins, and then randomly in the middle of all that, Jesus said SMU sucks.
True. Moving on. No. Yeah, I'm going to be like 17 games back after this week based on I'm like going against everybody in almost everything. Or I flipped the script. I don't know. Now I'm starting to feel nervous because I'm like the only one out on this island 3 different times. But I'm not going to feel bad about picking Ohio State in the game.
No.
So, yeah, I feel like they can be disruptive. Marvin Harrison Jr. And the rest of that receiving core, but particularly him, they're big play guys. And in his case, just an absolute – freak show of a player. And so, yeah, give me, the lesser known at quarterback, but at least a growing confidence there in the fact that you know who the quarterback is now as opposed to a couple weeks ago when he opened the season. Give me those studs at wide receiver. Give me that, disruptive front seven, hopefully making Sam Hartman's life a little bit chaotic. And yeah, give me the Buckeyes. But, man, that ought to be another great game. And really way more interesting thanks to the fact that Sam Hartman's playing in this game for Notre Dame. That really just having the quarterback that knows what they're doing back there and a high-profile guy really spices this up a bit. And, yeah, not often that Ohio State's been in too many games here in recent years where they're not the favorite at quarterback. I mean, you think about that. How many times have they lined up over the last few years with the guys they've had? Are they not the better team at quarterback? Yeah. I mean, few and far between, but that is the case this weekend. And
that's why I know the weapons of Ohio State. We get it, like Western Kentucky, whoever they've played, they haven't been tested, so who knows?
Yeah, and look, Kyle McCord is probably going to be a fantastic quarterback. It's year one for him.
Isn't it weird that Ohio State and Alabama right now are unsure at quarterback? Not that they may not be unsure with McCord.
At least Ohio State is sure who they want to be the quarterback, and he hasn't done anything to where you'd even question why he would be the starter. And so it's a little bit different. It's just. He's green. He's new, and Jalen Milroe makes you have to change the whole offense. Is where Kyle McCord. I'm sure Devin Brown's going to be good too. Ryan Day is really good, and Brian Hartline are really good at finding quarterbacks, wide receivers, running backs. They're really good at that. They have not of late done great, Ryan Day, at filling out the defensive side of the ball that Urban Meyer was really good at, finding defensive linemen and linebackers and safeties and all that. That's what has lacked the last couple of years, and that's why Michigan has beaten them, because they're bigger and stronger up front and run the ball right at them.
All right, so there we are. We have 4 games in. Then we get to Kansas and Brigham and BYU.
Thank you.
That's 50 cents. 50 cents, right? BYU, I have to put $1 in somebody's pocket every time I say the name because I guess that's old school, but BYU. And I flipped on this one a few times. I just, with Daniels and with what they're doing with Lance Leipold, the game's in Lawrence, Brigham Young, that's $1. BYU coming off that intense game against Missouri. Does it give them momentum? Or is there a little bit out of the tank? I think it's going to be a great football game.
BYU played Arkansas. They didn't play Missouri.
Arkansas. Yeah. BYU, I'm taking KU.
Yeah, I'm
Paul's wife told him to. Meanwhile, I'm taking KU.
Yeah.
In football?
No, she doesn't care. In football, I wish she did. I wish she could take some of that basketball passion and 5% of it could go to football. But no, she's still root for him. It's just not as important, and that's the case for most Kansas students and alums. But I'm going Jalen Daniels in this one. I think that. At home, going to be a little bit too much. But, look, BYU showed a lot of guts on the road last week. I just think it's really hard to do that twice in a row.
9.5 point right now lead as far as the spread. It's kind of surprised me with KU, but that's how much respect they've gained with their quarterback, with what Leipold's done and what they've done the last year and a half.
Yeah, I mean, we're beyond the lowly Kansas storyline at this point. I mean, they got out of that last year, and now they're on a different course than being the worst team in all of Division I college football, as they were for a year's run there not too long ago. But, Jalen Daniels was part of the reason here. Also, I think that BYU had a very, nice win in Fayetteville, but I don't think that it was some flawless victory that, all of a sudden the offense is fixed or, that Slovis is necessarily going to go just lead you to a game. LJ Martin's an incredibly fun young running back for them. I'm sure we'll see a lot of him. He's from El Paso, so a Texas connection there. Slovis is coming along, but I'm just not as much of a believer in their offense as I am in KU's. I do think defensively BYU has gotten better, and need to see more of Kansas in that regard. But yeah, I trust that Leipold and company with the great quarterback are going to be geared up for this one. I think it'll be a fantastic game. It's going to be I know there's a thought that the Big 12 could kind of all just be even, like everybody's sort of in the same vicinity, but I do think these games like this, at least early on, where there's going to be some separation created when you have two teams that are pretty much in the same kind of spot, it's going to be fun to see how that separation goes. This would obviously be a massive win for BYU, who's got some little momentum building here. But yeah, I'm going with the quarterback. Even though Lance Leipold, pissed off the entire BYU fan base by mentioning that they're older and more mature and all of that.
He said their average age is 22. I think it's actually 21.7. In math terms,
Semantics.
you round it up.
It's not 22. It's 21.7, sir. But still. Yeah, I mean,
I do think that sometimes is a little bit of a lazy narrative when we hear about that because it's not as much as we think. But yeah, okay.
Let's not make it a whole thing because it's already been a thing on Twitter all week. But I also think if you're just asking, Lance Leipold's not checking out the Twitter conversation. He's asking, like, what stands out about BYU? Well, typically, and that's where I think he was coming from. It wasn't, I know it's a lazy narrative for that fan base every time they hear it. I don't think he was like that was the intention, though. I think that's just what coaches see. They go, what are their strengths? Well, they're older and stronger, and I think that's where he was coming from. But regardless of that, I'm taking the Jayhawks, and I think this will be a close game.
If we didn't use Oregon, Colorado for one reason, somebody just asked, because I think everybody across the board, even with Colorado's hype and not hype, what they've done evidence, I think we would try to not to do across the board.
Yeah, they're 20-point dogs. So,
I wasn't gonna pick. I was gonna pick Oregon.
Yeah. So
you gonna pick Oregon?
Yeah,
definitely.
We're all gonna pick Oregon.
Yeah, Oregon. So yeah, we wanted to have a little bit.
Oh God,
more.
they're gonna bring that up in the pregame. The key on
sure.
it.
No.
Well, bring it up in the postgame if you win.
Yeah.
But if they don't, then we're going to hear about it? No. Let's see how that game goes.
All right, let me ask you this. If you were a 21.7 is different than 22, if you were laying on the street and I started kicking you, and I said, I'll give you the offer of 22 kicks or 21.7, would you know the difference on the 0.7 kick?
No, because after about one or two, I'd be